people don't work for you, they work for themselves. And you have to provide a place that is a better option than the other options that they have. So in business, in my view, is thinking about other people before yourself. So that is a lesson that I learned. Nobody cares about you. They care about themselves. Well, the criteria we look for is that they're smart, honest, and have a good work ethic. So if they're smart, that means they can learn. If they have a good work ethic, they'll work themselves through whatever problems, because that's kind of life. And if they have integrity, you can trust them. So two things. You have to manage both fear and greed. You have to be, I would say, when the whole world's excited, you need to be scared. When the whole world's scared, you need to be the one that's excited. You have to be able to manage your emotions, and you have to be the person that people want to come to.
And that is coming up next on Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show, so stay tuned. So, the big question is this: how are ambitious people like us, who don't have a lot of resources, did not go to Ivy League colleges, were not born into wealth, how do we become resourceful enough, use our creativity, our dedication, and a little bit of crazy to bootstrap our way to realizing our dreams? Whether it is launching a new company, launching a new app, or making it to the top of the corporate ladder? That is the question, and this podcast will give you the answers. We have created a tremendous community of bootstrappers, entrepreneurs, and professionals who are ambitious, resourceful, and want to get things done. We brainstorm, support, and help each other out. So come join us. Navigate to bootstrapping.group, join today, and get the Startup Founders Technology Accelerator video series absolutely free. If you enjoy this video, then do let us know by hitting that like button now. Or if you want us to improve our content, then go ahead and hit that thumbs down button and give us your honest feedback in the comment section below. Here at Tetranoodle, we are passionate about entrepreneurship, technology, and innovation. Every week, we bring you insightful and engaging videos, interviews, tips, tricks, and strategies to help you grow your business or rise in your corporate profession. If you're new here, please do consider subscribing, and do not forget to hit that bell icon so that you are notified when we publish new content. Hello and welcome to this new episode of Bootstrapping Your Dreams Show. I'm your host Manuj Aggarwal, and today we'll be talking with Robert Blackwell Jr. He's a technology industry leader with a career spanning nearly 30 years. So Robert has cultivated Electronic Knowledge Interchange into a leading management and technology consulting firm well known for its ability to respond to complex business challenges with efficient, intelligent, and innovative solutions. Starting at IBM in 1981, Blackwell began his long career in building innovative systems that improve business operations. With a keen passion for entrepreneurship, he then went on to found several Chicago-based companies, including Urban Fishing Development, Bytewise International, and Blackwell Consulting Services. A former professional table tennis player, Blackwell also founded Killer Spin, the leading table tennis equipment, apparel, and promotion company. Wow, you have such an amazing resume. Welcome to our show.
Thank you. Except part of that's wrong. I was never a professional table tennis player. I don't know who put that in there. Maybe my mother or something.
Well, you must have been good at it.
I'd say I was a decent amateur.
Awesome. All right. Great.
Just enough
so let's start
talk with my friends.
All right. So let's start there. Maybe give us a little bit of a background about your history. How did you get started? Where did your passion for technology come from? Maybe take us down the memory lane and help us understand who you are as a person. Where did you get started?
Sure. So I was born in Philadelphia, and I grew up in Wichita, Kansas. And I was the oldest of five. And I'd say I was lucky because my parents didn't have any money when I was growing up. I said they were so broke they couldn't pay attention. But I was lucky because I have two educated parents, and they're really good people, and they talk about character. And so when I was young, I was the oldest of five, and my parents just gave me basic rules. And those rules were I could do anything I wanted as long as I followed a couple basic rules.
Mhm.
I had to do my best in school, not lie, and make up my bed.
I see.
As long as I did that, I could, pretty much do whatever I wanted to do.
Mhm.
So I would go around between, and on the way to school and after school, and on the weekends, I would walk around when I was five, and I would pick up bottles so that I could turn them in for the recycling money. And
Mhm.
then I saved my money. And when I was 8 years old, I noticed that kids in school would go to the candy store during lunch. And when they
Yeah.
got back, if they were late, the teachers back then could actually hit you with paddles.
Ah, I
So,
see.
not wanting to get hit with paddles, uh, I figured that I could go to the candy store after school and I would buy a lot of gum
Mhm.
and I would sell it during lunch. And so I
Ah, I
would
see.
buy it for a nickel and sell it for a dime. And from there, I kind of really liked being in control of my own destiny. So
Nice.
when I was born, my mother was 20 and my father was 23.
Mhm.
So I feel like that I was blessed by my parents not having any money, but just
I
being good
see.
people.
Yeah. Cool. That's great. A fascinating story. How like did you save up enough to sort of bankroll your next venture by selling
Well,
gum or?
I pretty much saved my own money because I'm a very introverted person.
Mhm.
Um, I really didn't care very much about people. Um, but I did just like one thing I've never liked anybody telling me what to do.
Mhm.
So I figured if nobody was going to tell me what to do, I'd have to kind of do my own thing.
Mhm.
And when I moved from Chicago when I moved to Chicago from Kansas, uh, I was in eighth grade, so I was 12 years old. I didn't know anybody, so I brought my gum business with me, and I started selling gum in school. And people were buying so much gum that they weren't buying ice cream from the school anymore.
Oh, I see.
So I ended up doing a deal with the principal to sell my gum and his ice cream
Wow.
when I was 12. So I was always doing that. I was always looking for kind of ways to make money. I was actually a lot more interested uh, in making money than in school. So I was
Mhm.
not a very good student. In
I
fact,
see.
my mother figured there was something wrong with me. So she took me to get tested, and they tested me in math. And she told me this later in life. They gave me this math test, and I came up with a better answer than they had.
Wow.
I think I always had, I'd say, some aptitude for math, and
Mhm.
I didn't know. When I was 12, I came up with this theory. It turned out to be the theory of fractals,
Okay.
which I didn't even know. Frankly, I'd never even taken. I had just taken algebra
Yeah.
at
Yeah.
that time in school, but it gave me an opportunity to uh, to kind of apply math and business together. And I'd say that's something I've always been, I'd say, fairly good at.
Mhm.
So after I went to school, I studied math, and then I worked at IBM for a couple years. And I was a person that was in charge of writing algorithms on giving salespeople the right time to upgrade the machine.
Yeah, I
I
see.
did that, but the culture wasn't really for me because I was a super introverted kid. And at IBM, they would tell you, you if you're not a salesman, you're a nobody here. It is a
I see.
sales culture. And
I
I say
see.
I learned a lot from that, but I left when I was 21 or 22,
Mhm.
and I started my own PC consulting company.
Okay.
And like a lot of people who were, I'd say 22, I knew a lot more about technology than business,
Yeah.
but I
Yeah.
kind of did well enough to take care of me and some friends. And I'd always saved a lot of money. So when I was 22, I bought my first Porsche,
Wow.
and I thought my life was going to be so good because I had this car. And I would say it was one of the many lessons I learned in my life. It turned out to be the most miserable time in my life.
I see.
because I learned that it's not the stuff that makes you happy. So that card couldn't make me happy. It is accomplishment that makes you happy. So since then, I've never really got attached to things. But I started importing cars from Germany, and it was called the gray market car business. So I essentially made money off the spread between Porsches and Mercedes that were domestic, that were imported by Mercedes, and the ones I could buy from Germany. Then I went out to LA to help a company that was the number one company in that industry. And turns out it was just a currency arbitrage business. So that went away. And I started writing programs for a commodity trading fund. And the guy took all the good trades and put it in his account and spread out the bad trades. So I figured they're going to throw the programmer in jail. So I should come back to Chicago. But I had actually I had started to learn how to trade then, which really interested me. So I came back to Chicago and I asked somebody I knew if I could work for them. I said, I'll work for you for 6 months for free if you just let me on the trading floor. So I spent a lot of time, I studied the whole history of the Dow. I charted it by hand for really over 100 years worth of data. So I got pretty good at recognizing patterns. I ended up from there funding a company and having to take it over. Then I turned that company into a company that wrote financial modeling systems. So I wrote a lot of financial modeling systems for big insurance companies and retail companies and banks and others. So then in 92, my father retired from IBM. And
he was in IBM as well?
My father was with IBM for 25 years. He's like the world's greatest salesman. I was like a math nerd, and he was like the greatest salesperson I've ever met still.
I see.
So we started a company called Blackwell Consulting together. I sold him my half of the company in 95. And then I did real estate development. So I started a company called Urban Fishing Development because it was my goal to create an economically integrated Black neighborhood, because I thought that would solve the problems of poverty that were in the area. So I did that. I built the first high-end homes. This is on the south side of Chicago. That worked out well. Turned out I didn't like real estate very much. I liked the idea of creating more than working with tradespeople. So I stopped building houses, and then in 98, we started EKI Digital, or really it's called Electronic Knowledge Interchange. And the idea is I had written a theory of electronic knowledge interchange. And it followed, I'm sure everybody's heard of EDI, or electronic data interchange. So I came up with the idea of electronic knowledge interchange. And so in 98, we started the company with a friend of mine. And the goal of the company was to be a place where the most talented people in our profession would want to work, because I think our industry is full of what I call the talented misfits, people that are very smart but very idiosyncratic. And if I could create a culture that was welcoming to them, we could have a good company. So it was that, and also a company where we would be a trustworthy partner to our customers. We did that. The company has done some really cool things. It grew. And in 2000, I thought the stock market was going to go bad. And our business had never done any business in the public sector. And so in that year, Chicago had something called the Ping Pong Festival. So I was in a taxi, and a cab driver gave me some stock advice. So I said, it's over for sure now. Sponsoring the Ping Pong Festival. And I think we took $100,000 and sponsored it. And from the relationships we built through that, we probably got over the years about $100 million worth of business.
Wow.
So then a couple of years later, I started a company called Killerspin. It's a table tennis company. And so I looked at table tennis, and whenever there was when we were doing the ping pong festival, whenever there were tables, there were just lines of people to play. So I decided that I was going to start a table tennis company. because while everybody knows table tennis, almost nobody could name the name of a brand. And said, we're going to create a great brand around this sport. And we're going to create beautiful experiences and products. And we're going to be the first company in the world that does that. And we're going to own the high end of the category. And where everybody else is a technical brand, we're going to be an emotional brand and a beautiful brand. So we became the number one in the world in creating table tennis themed media. We frankly own the high end of the market. We were ESPN's partner. So it's really, we look at it as creating experiences. And now the company is all about what I call play. It's about connecting what we think is amazing people and engaging space through break time play. So if you think about table tennis, almost everybody's played. They associate it mostly with good times with their family and friends in China. So, but everybody in the world plays table tennis. So we're just trying to be the brand that connects people through play. That's awesome. Where we are today.
That's great. Great story. So one question that immediately jumps out at me is like a lot of people say to be really successful, you really need to focus and you really need to, focus your energy on one thing and get really, really good at it. But obviously from your story, you have tried and succeeded at so many things. So can you tell us like, how did you do that? And is this notion of getting focused on one thing, is that incorrect in your opinion?
I think focus is really, really important. But I would say what drives me is, and I think these different experiences have really helped me. And probably I wasn't smart enough to focus on one thing. I was kind of probably ADHD and quasi autistic. But I'd say I'm a curious person, especially things as it relates to math and patterns and things like that. So I think the different experiences that I had, a lot of people would have those experiences through different jobs that they worked. Frankly, I never thought anybody would ever hire me, so I had to create my own jobs. But the real estate and trading and all the different things, I'd say industries that I've been in have really helped me see things in a different way. At the end of the day, a business is about creating value for a customer that they're willing to pay for. So I think a variety of experiences are actually really, really important. That doesn't mean you have to go out and start a bunch of companies, because frankly, it is true you will get pulled in different directions. But for me, the thing that drives me is just being the number one in the world at something.
Cool.
And I've had that chance a couple times. So
that's great. So, so will you say, like, when you have these varied experiences, you can start to pull the concepts from these different fields and then sort of cross-pollinate them in different fields, and that is one of the advantages? Or I just want to get a little bit deeper on that.
The experiences that you get, from your, I'd say the knowledge that you get from your own experience and the experience of others, either through mentors or books. On my iPhone, I have like 150 books that I've listened to and another couple hundred podcasts, because what you want to do is you want to learn from other people's experiences that you can avoid those mistakes. But I would say that, I was able to do these things when I was relatively young, and, I didn't have a family. So, my daughter, I didn't have my daughter until I was 36 years old. So by that time, I had, frankly, a lot of time to experiment. And I've always saved a lot of money and lived way below my means. So it really gave me freedom to do a lot of interesting things and experiment.
Cool. All right. So that brings up a couple of other questions. So through these experiences, you mentioned you learn from other people's mistakes. So let's take this opportunity to learn from any of the mistakes that you made. So can you share with us through this journey, what are some of the mistakes that you have made and learned some lessons through your experience?
I would say that things I've learned are things I can probably quote from books. It's and I can tell you, I've made the difference between, I would say, when I started EKI versus Kellerspin.
Okay.
I had started EKI 5 years before, really 4 years before I started Kellerspin. And during that time, I acted like I had no money.
I see.
And so I picked the people first. So there's a book called Good to Great, and it says first who, then what. And I did that. And it worked out really, really well. With Kellerspin, it didn't do that. It took me too long, too many years, frankly, to kind of pick the right people. And the company made a lot more mistakes, frankly, than in EKI, because I started with the what over the who. That's one. The other is lesson that I learned when I was very young. This is a lesson I learned from my father. When I had a company called Bytewise that I started, and I was somewhere in my 20s, and I had my first office, and I had my own office, and then I had 3 or 4 other guys sitting in a room next to me, and they were sitting at a table, and they had like metal chairs. And my father said to me, never treat yourself better than the people that work for the company. So that is a lesson that I learned. So I got rid of my office, and I never have an office that's better than anybody else in the company. Because people don't work for you, they work for themselves. And you have to provide a place that is a better option than the other options that they have. Yeah. So in business in my view is thinking about other people before yourself. So that is a lesson that I learned. Nobody cares about you, they care about themselves.
Yeah, that's very important. Thank you for sharing that. And now you brought up an important point about building a team. So how do you evaluate people? How do you determine whether somebody is fit to be in your team or not?
Well, the criteria we look for is that they're smart, honest, and have a good work ethic. So if they're smart, that means they can learn. If they have a good work ethic, they'll work themselves through whatever problems, because that's kind of life. Yeah. And if they have integrity, you can trust them. I've known people that are smart, they work hard, but they're not honest. Yeah. Those kind of people can cause a lot more trouble for you than somebody's dumb and not honest, because they can figure out bad stuff to do. And I've never really had that issue so much. I know people that have lost a lot because they hired smart people with bad characters. You can be intellectually smart but have poor character.
Yeah. But how do you, these are very important qualities, but very, very subjective as well. So, obviously, when we hire, typically there's a couple of interviews, maybe we spend a few hours with the candidate. What are there specific questions that you ask? What is your methodology to zero down on these qualities?
I would say for me, I kind of look at their background, and I prefer different types of people. Some people you need they need to be math people. I see. Like in our business, you need people that are math people. Like I'm a total math person. I see everything in numbers and waves, and I know I can recite offhand all my credit card numbers, my social security number, my driver's license number. I have some affinity for numbers, but I would say I have a very low EQ. Where somebody like my father has amazing EQ. I see. So those kind of people have a different set of intelligence. They aren't math people. They don't know how to program everything, but they can go talk to customers, and they can get customers to feel good, to build trust with customers. fact, I had a customer once tell me the difference between me and my father. He said, people do business with your father because they like him. They do business with you because you know what you're talking about.
I see.
So, my father knows what he's talking about, but my father knows how to get people to feel comfortable. He has a lot more emotional intelligence than I do. So the company needs people that have a variety of skill sets and experiences. I mean, we have a huge amount of diversity in our company, and it's not because it's planned. It's because we want to give people opportunities that may not be appreciated by somebody else, whether they have an accent, or whether they're woman, or whether they've made mistakes in their life. We want to give people opportunities to be stars. That's what I would say. Now, if they don't take advantage of the opportunities, they don't get to stay. But we've had success we have a lot of people from Latin America, which is a little bit atypical. We've taken people who, when they were 17, they got in trouble and shot people. They shot somebody, but we made the determination through talking to them that they realized they made a mistake and they just wanted an opportunity. Those kind of people, in my view, go overboard. And other people might not give them a chance, but we do. Also, the same thing for women. We look for people who want to be able to prove that they're somebody special.
Got it. That's great. That's great. And
then
one more
skill, we'll turn it over to somebody that has that technical skill.
I see. That's great. One point also you brought up was that you had your daughter when you were 36 and you had a lot of free time and resources. So I find that is a typical case where people they get to their mid-age, and initially if they get into entrepreneurship, things are okay because they don't have a lot to lose. They don't have to worry about raising kids and be responsible for that. But as they approach 35, 40, they start to realize they have been doing this job for a couple of decades and they're not getting anywhere. And now they have a family to raise, so their tolerance for risk taking goes, way, way below. But they do realize they want to do something, like, they want to run a business, they want to be entrepreneur. And I find that is the case for a lot of people, more than we realize. So first of all, do you see that in your interactions with other people? And if so, what advice will you give them?
I would say, my view for people who want to be an entrepreneur, start early or start late. If you start early and you can afford to sleep on the floor. In fact, before I met my wife, I never spent more than $100 a month on rent. I'd rent a house and I'd rent it out to a bunch of people. Of course, I met her and then she kicked them all out. That was the end of that. So start early, but live way below your means. You need to live way below your means. And I would say that's one of the things that I've always done, is just live way below my means, because something's going to happen. A hurricane's going in business. You're going to make lots and lots of mistakes. Your customers are going to say goodbye to you. Key employees are going to say goodbye. And if you don't have money, you won't be able to survive. You won't be able to survive this. If you're later in life and your kids are gone and you've built up experience, then now you have different set of freedom. So depending on when you have children, I always think it's better for people to have children later than earlier. First of all, I think you'll be a better parent. I think you can be a better parent in your 30s than in your 20s. You're just, frankly, you're more mature. And you've already started to earn. The one thing I would say is pick a good mate. That is the one thing that will kill you making that mistake. It's not having the right mate. And if you're married, you need to make sure that your partner understands this journey, because business is about sacrifice. Because you don't get to work 9 to 5. You get to work 4 to 10, as in 4 a.m. to 10.
Yeah.
On the weekends and things like that. And that's like what my day is. My day starts at 4 a.m. and it ends at 10 o'clock, 5 days a week. And on the weekends, it's from, maybe I sleep in late sometimes. It might be 6 to 5 or 6. But in that time, I'll take my daughter and we'll do things. But that's what your life is like. Because there's nobody that you can fall back on. If it's your company, everybody's looking to you to solve their problems. You don't have anybody to go to. So you've got to be willing to make sacrifices. So it's not for everybody. Everybody kind of thinks entrepreneurship is so cool. You get to make all this money. You can actually, if you get to work at, I'd say, an investment bank, and you're really good at that, you're probably going to make a lot more money than you will as an entrepreneur, unless you're one of the very, very few that really hit it. That's not the case for most people.
Yeah.
So you have to decide what kind of lifestyle you want. Who's going to bear the risk? What happens when the bank tells you they want you to sign over your house? Most people, it sounds more glamorous, frankly, than it is, but it's the best thing in the world if that fits your personality and risk profile.
Yeah, that's for sure. You've been successful at all these businesses, and you've built a lot of value for your customers. What are some of the qualities that you will say are required or essential for a good leader?
I would say what it requires is for a good leader is that you don't think about yourself. Two things. You have to manage both fear and greed. You have to be, I would say, when the whole world's excited, you need to be scared. When the whole world's scared, you need to be the one that's excited. You have to be able to manage your emotions, and you have to be the person that people want to come to when they're unsure, when they want to know where to go. That's what a leader does. I mean, they lead other people, they lead organizations. That means you have to be able to, I would say, let other people believe that they're more important than you are. So that's one of the mistakes I think people make when they start businesses. The business becomes about them. And nobody cares about you. And if you have an organization that is built around you, one is it can't grow. You're going to get tired at some point. And number two, the right people won't come to work for the company. You'll get the people that are the leftovers, the ones that other people. So you have to think about you almost kind of as a leader. I do, as a leader of a family. So you've got responsibility for those people, and not only those people's families as well. So when we look at the people that kind of work for the company, you have to think about the company's brand and the impact that you're going to create on the lives of those people. So listening and being truthful, because sometimes you have to give people bad news. And if you're a leader and you're not honest, really honest, it will come back to bite you. Your customers won't trust you. Your employees won't trust you. They'll tell people that you're not trustworthy. I think people, in my case, they can put up with my being idiosyncratic, but I think they think that I'm an honest person and that I do care about them, which I do.
Cool. That's great. Well, thank you so much for being with us. This has been a really deep conversation, and you shared a lot of valuable tips for aspiring entrepreneurs, existing entrepreneurs, or anybody who's looking to basically, improve their life. So thank you so much. Now, before I let you go, can you tell us how can people reach out to you?
You can reach out to me at rblackwell@killerspin.com.
Awesome. So we'll put that email in the show notes so that people can reach out to you easily.
Terrific. Thank you so much. Have
Thank
a
you so
great
much.
day.
And that's all for now. Until next time. Now, if you're an entrepreneur or a career professional, then I invite you to join our growing community. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. As a welcome bonus, you will get the Startup Founders Technology Accelerator video series and Mastering Your Inner Game video series absolutely free. This series of short videos address some core issues which are instrumental in helping you move forward in your business or career. The videos are yours to view and share for free. No obligations or strings attached, except for one. You have to take action and implement it. So join us today. Navigate to bootstrapping.group. If you want more engaging videos and insightful interviews with industry's thought leaders, then check out the other videos we have picked for you. The link is right there. And if you want to be notified about our new content, please do consider subscribing to our channel.